We go. We're celebrating with the guys from Days Between Stations, Sanpan Sands a Day, and Oscar Fuentes Bills. Guys, new music. Talk about this. I know there's studio tracks, there's, the live stuff you're doing. Please tell us about the latest music.
Ascarito.
Okay. Yeah. So this our new album, Perpetual Motion Machines, started life as a soundtrack, uh, documentary film soundtrack, way back in 2015. Sapan's friend Alex Stories had made a. He had he had I'm going to say hundreds of hours of footage of filming Jean-Paul Bourdieu, the artist, working, and some interview segments. Mostly just he filmed him at work. He goes out to the desert a lot out in Utah and creates this body art where subjects sort of become part of the landscape in surreal, colorful ways, I would say. And so he had shown us this footage, and we became Jean Paul's work. Immediately, I thought it was a perfect marriage, his visuals and our music. And so we started working on that. Gonna make long story short. Long story short, this happened, that happened. It's music for a film, but not from a film at this point. And but we're very proud of it. We've got Durga McBroom from Pink Floyd singing on a track called Being, which is sort of the closing track and also kind of the centerpiece in a way of the album. The rest of the album is instrumental and touches on a lot of different areas. Some of it's kind of electronic, some of it's very classical, and in fact features mostly orchestral instruments. Couple of the tunes. One tune called "Waltz for the Dead" is it's a waltz, and we've had a waltz on I think every album
except the debut. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
That one features accordion and bandoneon, which is sort of Argentinian accordion, quite extensively. That one was inspired somewhat by Jan Tiersen and soundtrack. But yeah, we're excited about it. It's like I said, mostly instrumental. We considered, much like Peter Gabriel when Birdie was released, and I remember buying that album, and it had a sticker on the cover. So like, this isn't it said something similar to, this isn't the usual Peter Gabriel album. But eventually we just said, we think our listeners are adventurous enough to not be surprised or to be able to follow us down some strange lanes. That's a good title for another album too. Strange
Lanes, like it.
Now, talk about the song "Being." How did you know that would be the one that Durga would, be involved in, or did she pick it out?
Well, it's the only tune that has proper singing on it. Lyrics. Um, I did I did a demo of it with me singing, and then I don't exactly remember when or who first suggested that maybe Durga would be a fit for this. Do you remember Sapan?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Uh, but
Oh.
so there's a demo floating around with uh, me singing it. I remember picking Durga up from the airport, LAX, to take her over to. She was poor girl. She's exhausted. We literally went straight from the airport to the studio in what was that, Glendale?
LA traffic. So LAX to Glendale, that's usually what?
Oh, like,
Jay, 40-minute drive or less than that? Took an hour
Well,
and a
when
half.
people ask me, how long will it take to go from LAX to Glendale, I say, what time of day? When are we talking
That's
about?
true. Bring it then.
could be a
It
week.
could be 20 minutes. It could be 2.5 hours.
Yeah. So this one was an hour and a half, if I recall, Oski.
Yeah, and I remember we were, she said, hey, do you have the track? And so I can practice to it. And so in the car, she was singing along to it, and I remember thinking she's kind of singing harmonies to what I'm doing, right? And then I thought, you were singing it, right? But when we got to the studio, she said, like, oh,
This is great male brain communication, by the way. Oh, I'm doing the song? Yeah, no, this is kind of a testament to how pro she is. Just knocked the song out. I
yeah. After,
You're right. It was supposed to be backing vocals at first. And somehow the poor gal didn't get communication that you're doing the whole song until she was in the car with the Oscar, and she knocked it out of the park.
yeah, it was it
Oh,
was it was amazing, and I don't know if she was coming from Italy or from somewhere else, but she was very tired, jet lagged and stuff. So I know probably at that point, I know how I react to jet lag, or just I'm like curl up in a ball for about a couple of days. But yeah, she was fantastic, and I remember she mentioned this song kind of reminds me of some of my favorite um, artists, 80s artists. And I said, like, oh, do tell. She says, it kind of sounds like Thomas Dolby. And I said, well, that, I love Thomas Dolby. Right. So like it's interesting because I think when we've worked with Billy in the past too, he gets it's sometimes not the not so obvious influences. Um, like he picked up on XTC right away from when we first started working with Billy. It's like this has kind of an XTC kind of
vibed.
you know, and we're like, oh yeah, and of course he's like, oh, I could give Colin a call. It's like Colin Moulding from XTC,
Yeah.
who ended up singing on Man Who Died Two Times from our second album and Ghost by Gravity from our third album. But yeah, so Durga picked up right away on. I don't know if your listeners or yourself are aware, but there's a Thomas Dolby album, for example, called "The Flat Earth," and it's just great. It's a great album. Really, all his stuff is worth checking out. But that one in particular, and I remember talking to Durga about that, and it was interesting that she had picked up on that. Uh, you know,
No, that is interesting. You talk, of
yeah,
course, of Billy. That's Billy Sherwood from Yes fame.
yeah,
And interesting enough, I was living in Vancouver, 76 to 80, and I first met Thomas Dolby. He was the keyboard player in Bruce Woolley and the Camera Club, who
oh
actually Bruce co-wrote Video Killed the Radio Star.
wow,
And Thomas was just a backing keyboardist in
yeah,
LA right after that. And this was also around the time I'd interviewed XTC,
oh wow,
Andy and Colin, and they were supporting Drums and Wires. And I
Wow.
recently interviewed Steve Lillywhite talking about making all those XTC albums and, of course, his incredible catalog.
Oh,
Uh,
incredible.
yeah, I moved to LA right after that, and then I see Thomas Dolby out front doing his own thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting always to see the evolution of so many of these players. You know,
Yeah.
kind of something sparks in your brain when you first meet him, and like, something's there, and then you find out later, like, yeah, he's really he's a front man, but he's in a supporting role at the moment.
Sure.
And just like Durga, you know, she can be the focal of attention, or you know, mainly the background singer where you need her. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, we've checked out your being video. It's being tweaked for the release, and of course, Seeds, which is an amazing song. And I understand you just won the Prog UK's Track of the Week late October for that. That must have been nice to get that recognition.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Uh,
We're not affirmation types, but that one was like, wow. Because we don't play it live, so we don't know where we stand in anything, right?
Right.
So yeah, it was cool.
we
Yeah.
hope ready that though.
And the another one that was very cool was when Oscar and I, before the debut, I want to say 2004, 2005, Bruce Sword from the Pineapple Thief band, he sent out a request by fans. Hey, if you have any music, I'm gonna do this. It's like a B side of the album. What was it? 12 Stories Down, Oscar?
Yeah.
So it was like an extra CD, and we sent whatever we had, and he picked it up, and it showed up on a song called Saturdays, and I just remember that moment, like, whoa, it's the big leagues, man. Like, but it was like motivating enough, like the fact that we showed up on someone's CD. It's like, hey, maybe we can do this, you know. And it was the dawn of the digital era, and being having the facility to be a true independent artist, and it was beautiful.
Definitely. Yeah, it was any sort of time you reach somebody, I think it's just amazing, you know. We had I remember this is back in MySpace days. By the way, I meet people now. I'm like having conversations with people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I was born in 2004." I'm like,
What the hell?
what?
Yeah, I know.
You know,
One more year, man. You're in Vegas.
You have clothes older than that. You know?
Seriously.
exactly.
I saw this gal at the supermarket yesterday. I'm older than the internet. I was gonna get that T-shirt. Isn't that true? It's like, what the hell?
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you know,
Well, being a promotion man, when I
Oh my
do a lot
god,
of
dude.
speaking, you know, at music conferences and stuff, and I tell the
Yeah.
younger generation that I help break so many of their favorite artists with no internet, no cell phone, no
yeah,
social media, no texting, no emails,
unbelievable.
none of that, and their brain explodes.
Yeah.
You always you know what's funny that so I have an 8 and 11-year-old, right? Ideen and Tiam respectfully. And Ideen, the 8-year-old, is like, hey, do you mind if I use your computer? And he went into my room and he's touching the screen and nothing's happening. Right. So I pull the drawer out and he looks at this thing. He's like, what is this? And I'm like, a keyboard and a mouse. Right. So he didn't know what it was. He's used to the iPad. And then when I tell him the stories, and this happened a couple of days ago, it's like, back in my day, we had to go get magazines and read about the band, and we didn't have this. And Dad had a cassette in the radio player on pause and record the whole time. And all my songs had the DJ in the beginning and the end, right? So when I hand the mixtape to a friend, you could hear all that shit. So I sound like I'm from the Titanic to these guys.
Right. I mean, we all remember. We're old enough to remember beepers, right? And we're old enough to remember when you would leave the house and you were out of touch.
You had to use a payphone.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I sort of miss that to be honest, to a degree. There was I don't know.
Well, there was a lot of anticipation. Like I remember I would stay in a whole Sunday just to get my mixtape,
Yeah,
right? And then when you were looking for a song like I don't know, a classic song by the Turtles or something, or the Beach Boys, you had to wait an extra week just as hopefully the DJ will have that song, right? So the patience and virtue of that,
Yeah.
it rubs off.
We used to
yeah,
camp out at the record store waiting for
There you
the
go.
box to be opened,
Oh
the
yeah.
first one to get
yeah,
the
And it
new
meant so
record.
much.
yeah.
And the guy who fixes our soda can machine here at work,
Uh-huh.
he was talking about his brother learning Van Halen songs when Van Halen first came out,
Yeah.
and how his turntable had 3, 4 different kinds of speed with pitch correction, and he
45.
would learn the Van Halen parts from that.
Slow it down or
Slow down, yeah. and and like you as a teacher, Oscar, like if you're teaching somebody ear training and all that sort of stuff, you had to learn, so your muscles and your brain were coordinated
yeah, we
to
didn't have
knock that out.
yeah, we had to just put the record on again.
Yeah. And he was talking about how the record would wear out after, like, but those are special things, and we value that.
Yeah,
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 we really do. Life moves too fast now. We used to wait for a monthly music magazine, which was printed a month before it
yeah.
hit the stands, and now something news that came out this morning is old, two
You're
hours
right.
later.
Yeah. Yeah, remember how exciting
Yeah.
it was to get like NME or something, Cream,
Yeah,
Q magazine
yeah.
even
The
like
December issue was written in October.
yeah, yeah. And oh my God, I mean, finding out like a lot of times you go to the record store and just that's when you found out, oh, there's a new album by so and so.
Yeah, you would just see it on the shelf, like, I didn't even know it was coming out. I didn't know what the title was. I certainly didn't know what the record looked like, but boom, there it is.
Or I would go, like, if I saw a record cover that looked cool, I'm like, oh, this band must be cool. There wasn't YouTube to check this crap out. You took
Right.
risk.
Yeah.
And I think the record labels and the bands all took risk. And I think the last time I really saw that was the 90s,
Hmm.
you know? So it
Yeah,
seems a very
we
stale nowadays. The people aren't taking
we
risks.
do miss that era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your music sounds fantastic. We want to encourage everyone to go to the website, daysbetweenstations.com. Get all the links to follow them. Hear all about the new live album, everything that's coming out, the studio records, your catalog, and we look forward to seeing you guys get out there and do more shows. It's
Thank you. Thank
much,
you.
much, much needed.
And I hear from people suffering from constipation, our music helps.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, there's a purpose to everything. Our
That's
special
right.
guest, Sapan Zanzadeh and Oscar Fuentes Bills from the group Days Between Stations. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to
Thank you.
following your progress and speaking to you again soon.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for caring.